Faye Harper Sella. I lived in Bankstown. I'm the oldest of 3 kids. I have sister Donna, sister Linda, Gail, and 2 brothers, Frank and Barry. I was 5 years old when I started to go to school at the dugout. And I went there. Norman Muckle was my teacher. And I was there for a few years, and then I went into town, what we call town school. And I had Mr. Corbin, wonderful teacher, good man, and Mr. Eckley. And they were both good teachers, but what sticks in my mind is when we had a fire drill, they had a big metal thing clear up on the 2nd floor.
Take a look at that picture back there. Does that remind you?
Whenever we had the fire drill, we had to go down that thing. And that was so much fun. Didn't happen often, but it was fun.
Walked?
We walked from Bankstown. We carried our lunch because we didn't have time to go home. And yes, we walked. My mother was real strict. We weren't allowed downtown in Mapleton. We weren't allowed down off Bankstown until I guess she felt we were old enough to take care of ourselves. But we were allowed down on special occasions. And I remember at the band hall, they had a movie. This sticks in my mind. They had a movie called The Clutching Hand. That was so scary, and all the kids from Bankstown would go see this movie. Then when we went home, we had to go past the cemetery. We started to run when we got up to the to the one part of the cemetery. We ran until we got home. We were so scared of something that would never have hurt us. But that was just one thing. But Mapleton it was great. It was a wonderful, wonderful place to grow up. What was his name? Mr. Trapp had a Clover Farm store. In fact, I worked there for a little while, and then Parker's had their little ice cream place, and Weibel's had a good-sized store. Mrs. Snyder, she had a store. Gilbert's, yes, it was. Yes, we were allowed down then, and I always did the banking for my grandparents, and I come down whenever my grandfather worked in Altoona, and when he would get his paycheck, then my grandmother would get everything all ready, and I'd have to tramp down to the bank for her. Yes, we did. We had the radio, and at that time, we didn't have, how do I want to put it? We weren't afraid then to be out at night.
Yeah. So
we stayed out. We were able to stay out until later than what we should have, I guess, But we had good times. I remember we used to go out to the dugout during the summer. This was we were a little smaller then, but we were allowed to go out there. We would go and play in the playground, and we would actually make rooms, print rooms, and that we would play there. And in the winter, we had the creek. We could skate there. In the summer, we would swim. There was always something to do.
rationing and all that.
I remember the troop trains. We used to go out to the dugout school, and we would sit up on the steps of the school, and as a troop train would go past, you know, the men they'd be looking out the window. We'd stand there and we'd wave. Yes, I remember that.
Did you have any family members that worked at any of the sand plants? Any of the quarries or at U.S. Silica? Or?
No. All of our family worked down at the brickyard in Mount Union.
Okay.
Yeah. My dad worked there, and I know we didn't have a car, so he would walk. He walked a railroad back and forth, you know, to work.
That's crazy, isn't it, when you think about that?
Yes,
yeah.
It was.
It seemed like at one time Mapleton and Bankstown, the whole area, either you worked at the brickyard or at the sand plant.
Yes.
So there was at least a source of employment for people.
Oh,
you know?
yes, yes. There was work.
Yeah. Any of your family members, do you know if they ever worked up on the 1,000 steps?
No, not that I know of.
Yeah. It's interesting though that your dad walked back and forth then.
Yes.
Yeah, just to.
Yes.
That's crazy. In your backyard, did your family have a garden?
Yes.
Okay. A lot of people said they did that in Mapleton. That was...
Yes, we did have a garden, and we also, I remember, Mom decided she was going to raise she was going to have chickens, so sent away, got peepees, and they were the cutest things. So she had her chickens, had a pen up back, and it was, yes, had eggs.
Now, did you shop at Andrew's Feed Mill then to buy food for the chickens?
Yes.
Going back as a teenager, what would you consider the most important invention back then? As a teenager, you think back, and what was the one invention that you remember that's like, wow, we never had anything like this? Was it telephone or something like, or what, you know, TV or?
It was a television.
Okay.
And I remember when we got that, we had, it was so snowy. You could barely see the picture. But it was wonderful. We had a TV, and we saw things that we'd never seen before. It was great.
Do you remember?
For me, I liked the radio because I lived with my grandparents for a while, and Grandma and Grandpa had a radio in a corner of their living room, and we would go in there, and she would be in one chair and I would be in the other. We would sit and listen to District Attorney, listen to Lone Ranger. Just, it was good. We were allowed on Saturday evening, this was as we got a little older, we would, Pioneer Trail bus from Huntington, they would come down through, and we would get on the bus in the evening, you know, in Saturday evening, go up and watch a movie at the Clifton or the Grand Theater. We were allowed 51 cents. That got us the bus ticket, got us into the movies, and when we come out of the movies, we would go to the Palace Theater in Huntington, and we could get a little bit of ice cream, and then we'd come home. And that was the extent of our trips.